I worked as a night guard at a pig farm and have some scary stories to tell. I have been a night guard at a big pork factory in Iowa for a few years now. I cannot take it any longer. In the evening, when everyone is asleep, I need to tell someone about the strange and sometimes scary things I have seen. There is something really, really wrong with this place. Please be aware that there are some descriptions of pigs being abused. As you would expect from a factory farm. It is very crowded in factory farms, as you may know if you have seen a documentary about their lives. I have seen so many pigs lose an eye because the metal bars of their cage were squeezing their face in the wrong place. With this in mind, I did not think much of it when I saw a pig that looked like it was made out of two pigs joined together at the face but with separate bodies elsewhere. I thought it was just two pigs squished together, but I kept seeing the same pig with its two faces stuck together, which scared me, so I looked more closely one time. I poked the faces to see if they would move, but they just stood there. Another night guard who works with me was so disgusted that I showed him the pig. He laughed and said he would seen people do that before. He said, "It is a double whopper," and I hoped he was kidding. My boss told me not to talk about what I saw the next day. He also told me not to look at the pigs too closely because I might see something bad that would make my soul dirty. But what am I supposed to look at if not the pigs? The dark hall in front of and behind me. There are times when I just stare at the ground. All over the world, when it rains, worms come out. But here, they have red veins all over their bodies. It was the first time I would see something like it. And when it rains a lot, the ground gets really wet, and my boots sink into it. They come up red. What the heck? What kind of rock is in the ground that makes things red? It cannot be blood, right? I understand that this is a slaughterhouse, but still. It is possible that I should not be so shocked. Did you know that 23 million land animals are killed on factory farms every day? That is about 266 animals killed every second. I always look back at the pigs when I do this. A lot of them seem fine. Still, the longer I stay here, the stranger cases of fake pigs I find. I have seen pigs with eyes on their thumbs and pigs whose faces have joined together. Still, it does not look like a pig's eye. It was baked in yellow, and it would be too big on a person's face. When the pig ate, it shut. One of the pigs had fangs instead of teeth. When he had killed all the other pigs in his pen, we found out. The awful squealing we heard in the hour before we found the bloodbath is something I remember. We did not pay attention to it because these pigs are always making noise. I can still hear the screams sometimes in my dreams because that day was so bad. When we finally found the pig, he looked up at us with a happy face while he chewed on the remains of another pig. His bloody fangs sparkled in the dark. Little piggy finally had room. I killed him with a gun. Another time, a mother pig had a piglet that had no face. The piglet moved around on the ground for hours before it died. These pigs have gone through so many mutations that some of my coworkers no longer freak out when they see them. But not me. If I think I have seen everything, something scarier shows up, and I begin to question why I work here. Others say that the overuse of antibiotics in factory farms is to blame for the pigs' occasional mutations. These twisted animals only happen on factory farms and not on organic farms. I did some research and found that 84% of the antibiotics given to animals in factory farms are not used to treat sick animals. Instead, they are given to healthy animals to keep them from getting sick and to make sure they work hard in the small spaces where they are kept. And you are crazy to think that this does not affect people. A report says that people who eat meat from factory farms are more likely to have health problems. In 2019, this kind of food was linked to 975,000 deaths and 35 million illnesses. That is more deaths than are caused by cancer, AIDS, or malaria altogether. Check it out somewhere else, buddy, and you will understand what I mean. Most of the time, only one other night guard and I work. There are up to 6 guards at times, but sometimes it is just me. A few times when I was by myself, I heard someone groan. I got my gun ready in case something went wrong and went over to where the groaning was coming from, which was outside. There are miles of cornfields on all sides of where I work, and the only time people are not working is during the day, when they are just hanging out outside. When I went outside into the cold night, I saw a pretty fat man with a spatula in his hand. He was wearing a red baseball cap. While he groaned, he smiled and rubbed his stomach. He asked if everything was okay, and I told him he was breaking the law by being on company property. "I just want to grill, man," he said with a grunt that was louder than I think a person can grunt. We talked about that line over and over when I told him to leave. In the light from the lampposts nearby, his skin looked strangely shiny. I felt scared, so I took the pigs inside the building and called 911. The man was not there when I went outside after my call was over. When the police arrived, they could not find him, and what is worse, they say there were no footprints. Instead, they say there was a single path that looked like someone or something had been dragged along the grass and corn stalks, or like a car with only one wheel had driven through. There was no more of the path after 2 miles, when it reached the highway. It was odd that the path did not go across the highway to the other side. The next day, I asked my boss if we could watch the security cameras, to find out more about the man in the red cap. I asked my boss to share the video with the police, but he flatly said no and told me that was enough. I do fall asleep at work sometimes. I understand that this is not a good idea. It does happen, but not for more than 30 minutes at a time. It takes place when I am taking a break in my small entry office, where I sit down and maybe play Xbox. A lot of the time, my dreams are the same when I am away from home. I do, however, have a recurring dream in which I walk through a field of tall grass and bright flowers. You can see suburban homes on the other side of the lake. I can see my own home. There are pigs, chickens, and ducks digging in the grass, and they all look healthy. In the morning, dew shines on the tips of the grass blades, and dragonflies fly over the lake. I can hear a church bell far away and see the steeple on top of the hill. When I wake up from those dreams, I feel calm. It is the only thing that may have ever happened to me here. I do not know why I keep having this dream. Maybe my guardian angel is telling me to leave this place and go somewhere good. I also have a bad dream that keeps happening, but thank God it does not happen as often as the good dream. I am standing in the pig factory in this bad dream where everything is very hot. I trip and fall while trying to get away, but the fire gets away with me, and I see it spread all over the world. Everything and everyone is painfully dying, and their screams are about to break my eardrums. She is dead. At that point, I realize there is no more hope, and I wake up screaming with fear. But who is she who is dead? I would like to know. I once hit the TV so hard that I tripped my Xbox when I woke up from a dream. Guys, remember not to tilt your Xbox while it is scanning a disc. You will damage the disc and make it useless. The strangest one is the last one. It is not what I thought it was. I thought the guys were making it up. Before I talk about how strange the event I am about to describe was, let me tell you a bit more about the pig factory. Like most pig farms, this one is long and shaped like a storage shed. It takes a few minutes to walk from one end to the other. Myth has it that there are times when, while on patrol, you reach the far side of the building. Since you are facing away from the pigs, you could easily lead through the door at the far end. After that, the pigs stop talking. In other words, completely quiet. There should not be that much noise in a factory farm at night, but there are hundreds of them snorting and squealing. The guys say you should act like nothing is wrong if this happens. Do not even hint at how strange it is that the pigs are quieting down. Do not look to the left or right. Instead, turn around and walk away. Do not look at what might or might not be on the other side of the pig factory, the side of the door. Instead, look ahead. You might think you see the outline of a big pig poking its head in from the outside. But do not focus on it. If you have to, blur it out and look at the floor or ceiling instead. Do not worry. Just keep going straight ahead. Once you get to the other end, turn around and do it again until the pigs are nice again. When the guys told me this, I thought it was a joke. The pigs did, in fact, stop talking one day when I was by myself. The pig looked inside when I turned around. I could make it out much better than the pigs that were only a few feet to my left and right. It looked like it was happy. Its smile seemed to get bitter as I got closer. I stopped in the middle, took out my phone, and called my coworker Steve, who was in the building next door. I was freaking out. The internet stopped working. When I cursed, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I put down the phone because I was really scared like I have never been scared before. I knelt down next to the cages on my left and prayed. The pig next to me had two faces, but I did not care because he looked just as scared as I did. I was scared, but I did not know what. It was like the big pig was never there. I was afraid I was going to have a panic attack or pass out, so I could not stand up. What did they do? A black shape with red eyes and 4 legs then walked across the building. It came from behind me, not where the pig was. It looked like some kind of wolf, and the look in its eyes made me think of hate. It then disappeared from the factory farm, leaving behind the strange fear and the pigs, who kept squealing as if nothing had happened. The next day, I told my boss about it. I told him I did not do drugs, and he smiled. Dude, I never do drugs. I have had some really weird things happen to me so far. Do you know something? At a progressive march in our town against factory farms, a cute activist with blue-dyed hair and brown eyes was ranting about how she only eats organically certified food and how factory farms should not exist. All of my friends who did not work at the farm thought she was crazy, but I found myself privately nodding along and wondering if she knew how right she was, like that meme that says, if only you knew how bad things really are. Does anyone here work at a farm? Let me know if you have seen or heard anything similar. I know I have not been the only one.